Aliens from the planet of Krytol have begun an attack on the planet of Zardon. The Krytolians are warriors, out to destroy and seize the planet of Zardon. Zardon is the last of the peaceful planets. The Zardonians are skillful and hard-working people. Their cities are built up and rich in resources. It is truly a planet void of crime and violence. Zardon has built a powerful defense system. Several anti-ballistic missile bases have been established within the cities of Zardon. The Zardonians are ready for this attack and are prepared to fight to save their cities. As base commander, it is your responsibility to protect and defend 6 cities on the planet of Zardon. The Krytolians have begun firing interplanetary ballistic missiles. They are aiming at your cities and missile base. Your only defense is to fire back with anti-ballistic missiles. But watch out. The Krytolians are sly. They also have cruise missiles. Cruise missiles look like satellites, but they are just as deadly as the interplanetary ballistic missiles. Use your anti-ballistic missiles, ABMs, to stop the enemy before your happy and harmonious planet is destroyed. The manual spins a sci-fi yarn to explain the on-screen chaos. It's simple, dramatic, and most importantly, it sidesteps Cold War anxieties with a healthy dose of space opera flair. In short, you're not defending Aldemore from nuclear annihilation. You're defending Zardon, a completely different place, aside from the actual inhabitants, with absolutely zero geopolitical baggage. Unless you count the hostile Krytolians, whose passionate distaste for skylines is unrivaled. The action plays out on a single static screen. Enemy missiles rain down from the top, and you move your cursor, or target control, to intercept them by launching anti-ballistic missiles from your central base. If one of your cities gets hit, it's destroyed, but not necessarily gone for good. There is a way to actually bring cities back online, assuming you've still got some standing to build on. But lose all 6, and it's game over. Unlike the arcade version, you control only one base here, but the tension, it's still sky high. Overview. Missile Command on the Atari 2600 strips down the arcade original, but keeps its pulse-pounding core intact. Dealing with wave after wave of falling destruction, the enemy missiles come in fast, split into multiple warheads, and increase in speed and number as you survive. There are no power-ups, no story cutscenes, and definitely no breaks. It's just you, your limited ammo, in the creeping realization that perfection is impossible. Each wave ends with bonus points awarded for leftover missiles in surviving cities, and a sense of relief for surviving. But make no mistake, Missile Command isn't about winning. It's about delaying the very, very morbid inevitability for as long as you can. Console switches. Ah, yes, the physical switches. Those charming little toggles that added mystery and confusion to childhood gaming marathons. Power. If this one isn't obvious, I'm deeply concerned for your cities. TV type. Switches between color and black and white display modes. Even on a color TV, setting it to black and white won't break anything. But if you're somehow still rocking a monochrome set from the Carter administration, this option adds contrast to help differentiate similar tones. Not hugely important in Missile Command specifically, but a lifesaver in games where light pinks and yellows are practically twins in grayscale. Select. Cycles through game variations on the title screen. Tap it to advance one by one, or if you're in a hurry, hold select and reset together to scroll through them quickly. Reset. Starts the game, or restarts at mid-play. A quick path to redemption, or surrender. Difficulty switches. There's one for each player, left and right. Set to the B position for normal gameplay. Your ABM speed is faster. or flip it to A for skilled gameplay. It's a tougher challenge as you need to lead the incoming shot by a greater margin with your slower moving ABMs. My youthful experience. Like a lot of kids, once I got my own NES, my interest in the family Atari took a bit of a nosedive. I was off saving princesses, jumping on turtles, and the old shared console started collecting dust, at least on my end. Mom still fired it up regularly for her nightly centipede high score runs, but I never thought of Dad as much of a gamer. It often felt like he was paying me a courtesy when we played co-op or competitive two-player games with each other. These times were fun, very fun, but they just didn't feel like this is anything he'd consider doing if it wasn't for the parent-child bonding experience. That changed one day when I walked in and found him at the controls. Missile Command cartridge locked and loaded, joystick in hand, eyes fixed on the falling doom. And to my surprise, he was good. Like, really good. Turned out this wasn't some random curiosity. He'd been quietly playing for a while, even keeping a notepad full of high scores. Dozens of entries. All him. I thought that was the coolest thing, partly because I hadn't been giving the Atari much love, and partly because it showed me a side of him I hadn't expected. Missile Command became his game, in a way. And now, all these years later, I can't see those falling trails without thinking of him coolly holding the line on Planet Zardon. The look. Honestly, it looks good. Nearly good enough to earn a great from me, if we're grading on the 2600 curve. The visuals stick close to the arcade's minimalist approach. Clean, simple colors, basic shapes, and no visual fluff. But that's all Missile Command really needs. The missiles are fast and clear, the explosions are satisfying and puffy, and the cities? You don't need a huge stretch of imagination to recognize them for what they are. Tiny, doomed silhouettes, hoping to be saved. There's little to go on as far as animation, but one thing is notable. When you lose a city, it morphs into a mushroom cloud briefly, before turning to rubble. There's not much extra, but that's part of the charm. Aside from the bright colors against a dark background, the arcade game wasn't a visual showstopper to begin with. And the 2600 handles the translation more than capably. It's a restrained, focused look that works, and works well. The sound. Missile Command is nearly devoid of music, and that's exactly how it should be. Aside from the iconic "dew-dew-dew-dew" that kicks off each wave, a sound I can only interpret as Zardon's version of an air raid siren, the game skips musical compositions entirely. That might seem sparse, but it's fitting. Not just for the limitations of the 2600, but for the cold, eerie tone the game sets. The sound effects are where the real mood setting happens. Enemy ballistic missiles fall in utter silence, which somehow makes them more terrifying. Cruise missiles, on the other hand, shriek down the screen with a high-pitched squeal that instantly demands your attention. Your interceptor shots have a satisfying, distinct pew to them, and successful hits are met with a snappy burst. Try firing when you've already got too many shots on screen, max of 3, and you'll get a different tone entirely. Less explosion and more, "Not now, buddy." It's simple, but it works. When a city or your missile base gets hit, the sound is harsher, almost like an amplified version of the hit noise. Even if you're not looking directly at the screen, you know when something important just got taken out. Bonus point tallies at the end of each round begin in lighter, cuter tones, not jaw-dropping, but perfectly nostalgic. And when the final missile hits, and your last city falls, the screen fills with silence, broken by a descending pitch, and one last, devastating boom. No text, no fanfare, just a haunting little audio cue that tells you it's over. Zardon is lost. And yeah, it's kind of brilliant. Gameplay. As mentioned, your job is simple, in theory. Defend your cities from relentless waves of incoming enemy missiles. You've got 30 ABMs per wave and a target control to guide them. Aim, fire, and hope your explosion connects with the tip of an incoming threat before it slams into something important. Your launch base loads 10 ABMs at a time. Once those are spent, the next 10 cycle in automatically until you've used all 30. If that happens, you're just a spectator until the next wave. And if your launch base takes a direct hit, everything it's holding is gone. Thankfully, your underground reserves survive, assuming you have any left at all. Controls are tight. Sure, nothing beats the arcade's trackball for quick, fluid aiming, but this joystick version does a surprisingly good job. That said, if you do own an Atari 2600 trackball, I do, you might be tempted to use it here. Sadly, no officially released games on the 2600 support trackball mode, and using it in joystick mode is, well, let's just say it's not ideal. Fortunately, the homebrew scene came through. Missile Control adds proper trackball mode support and is highly recommended if you want that smooth arcade feel at home. That tangent over, back to the game. Missile Command builds its difficulty masterfully. The early waves are a breeze, but the pressure ramps up fast and fair. Want more challenge? Or less? Use those difficulty switches, or choose among the different game variations. These adjust everything from missile and target control speed to the presence of smart cruise missiles that can wreak havoc. Other. Hey, here's a nice surprise. Every 10,000 points you rack up, Missile Command will revive one of your destroyed cities, assuming any have fallen, giving skilled players a fighting chance to claw back from the brink. And even if all 6 are still standing when you hit that threshold, the game will bank the bonus and automatically rebuild the next one when it gets taken out. The reconstructed cities spring back to life between waves, accompanied by a cheerful little jingle. It's a small reward, but it helps soften the bleakness of the premise just a little bit. There's also a surprisingly robust game variation matrix, as seen here. Different game modes tweak a variety of parameters: missile speed, targeting speed, the presence of smart cruise missiles, and whether you're playing solo or alternating in a 2-player game. And if you're easing in, please note the teddy bear icon on the manual, or on the box if you're a more serious collector. A symbol Atari used to denote modes specifically tuned for younger or new players. A thoughtful touch, and one that helps Missile Command stay accessible to just about anyone. We often think of this era of console gaming being arcade difficult and unforgiving, but this inclusion of the teddy bear shows that, at least to some degree, developers realized they didn't need to eat your quarters once you've already paid for the cartridge. After all, nothing says mass interplanetary devastation like a comforting little teddy bear telling you it's okay to play on easy. Me, myself, and sometimes you. Missile Command offers 17 single-player modes and 17 two-player variations. They all play the same at a basic level, but little tweaks make a big difference. Shot speed, cursor speed, and the inclusion of smart, or dumb, missiles can dramatically affect the pacing and difficulty. There's even that teddy bear, designed to make things easier for beginners and young players. In two-player mode, you alternate turns at the end of each wave. If one player loses all their cities, the other one continues solo, obviously. During the game, only the active player's score is shown, but once both players are done, the screen alternates between their final scores. Functional and fair. Of course, alternating play doesn't really deliver a true shared experience. A co-op mode might have been amazing, but realistically, I'm not sure how it could have worked on the 2600. Still, whether you're flying solo or sharing the experience with a friend, Missile Command remains a satisfying, tightly designed experience. Who would enjoy this? Gamers young and old can find something to enjoy in Missile Command. The inclusion of the teddy bear settings makes it accessible for newcomers or younger players still developing their skills. And while it won't exactly dazzle by today's audio-visual standards, it doesn't need to. This is a game that welcomes all kinds. Whether you're just looking for a quick 5-minute diversion or settling in for a multi-hour high-score grind, it's simple to learn, tough to master, and oddly timeless. You don't have to be a retro purist to enjoy it. Just someone who appreciates tight, focused gameplay with real stakes. Legacy. Missile Command endures. Not just an arcade classic or a well-done Atari port, but one of the earliest games to leave players with a feeling rather than just a score. That sense of inevitable loss, even when you're doing well, lingers. No matter how good you are, the game ends with the fall of your final city. The best you can hope for is delaying the destruction just a little longer. It's subtle, but it hits hard. Especially considering when this was made. The 2600 version distills that experience surprisingly well. It doesn't have the arcade's trackball or 3-button setup, but it makes up for it with tight controls, great pacing, and the kind of just one more round loop that still holds up. Beyond nostalgia, Missile Command stands as a landmark in early video game design. It didn't need a complex story or flashy graphics to deliver an experience that's equal parts engaging and unsettling. That legacy holds up, whether you're revisiting it on real hardware, emulation, or discovering it for the first time in a compilation. Even now, decades later, defending those 6 cities still feels urgent. Overall, Missile Command for the Atari 2600 is a strong port of an arcade classic. It keeps the core gameplay intact, looks good for the system, and delivers a tense, rewarding experience with just the right amount of challenge. It offers accessible modes for newcomers, punishing ones for veterans, and a difficulty curve that ramps up masterfully. Even today, it still has appeal. Whether you're chasing a high score or just surviving a few waves, there's a strangely timeless pull to it. And if you're not playing it, your dad might be. Happy birthday, Dad! Thanks for watching, and as always, see you next mission. Hey, thanks for sticking around. As a reward, I have this little bonus feature for you. So, Missile Command is one of those few games that's fairly easy to find in the black picture label, with the game title in both all caps and also in all lowercase. Now, it's been my observation that the lowercase is less common, but this doesn't appear to affect the prices on the secondary market. Maybe nobody cares, or collectors just aren't as influenced by this as they are with other label variants. Who knows? Also, if we look into some of the manuals here, I have Revision 1 and Revision 2. You'll notice an interesting misplacement of some of the lines of text here. I'll slow the video down so you can kind of pinpoint the error. But to be honest, I don't see how this could happen today, but what do you think? Anyway, those are just a couple of things I wanted to point out that didn't really fit well with the core of the review, but I hope you enjoyed. Take care. Oh, and I'm hoping to have something special in store for the calendar year 2026. So stay tuned.